Good morning, everybody. My name is Sumiti Kumar. I am the campaign organizer at Housing Justice for All. Thank you for joining our press conference today. Today marks the 11th month since the beginning of the pandemic that rent is due without any meaningful relief for the 1.4 million New Yorkers who are struggling with rent. As well as the 92,000 homeless New Yorkers who were homeless before the pandemic even started. Collectively, New Yorkers owe about $2.2 billion in rent, and we very desperately need our state legislature to take action. So I'm so excited to be here with you all today. We have folks on Zoom, but we also have people zooming in through their banner drops across the state. So we'll be showing pictures and videos of those banner drops that happened in the middle of a snowstorm this morning throughout this press conference, so you can see. So to kick it off today, I'm going to pass it over to Senator Gianaris to talk about why we need housing relief right now. So Senator Gianaris, take it away.
Thank you, Samantha. Good morning, everybody. We sit here on the first day of another month of this pandemic, and we know that there are millions of people who are unable to make their rent, who are struggling economically, and many of us have been sounding this call for almost a year now. We haven't done enough. We have stopped evictions. That's a good thing, but all that is doing is postponing the problem until that eviction moratorium expires. All that rent that has been accumulating during this last year is still owed at the end of that period. And so what we're saying today is we have to find a solution to this problem. There is one staring us in the face that both the tenants community and the homeowner community support, and that is let's help people pay their rent arrears. It's over $2 billion, 2.2 is the number that has been estimated. We can hope that the federal government provides us. We're certainly pushing very hard to get that relief from Washington, but we have to prepare for the possibility that they don't come through for us. We can't wait for them forever. And in the absence of federal relief, we need to step in as part of the state budget and provide that kind of program to help people pay their rent. We stopped people from working during the pandemic. We shut down businesses. We understand why, because health is paramount. But there are economic consequences that were forced on people through no fault of their own, and it's only the right thing to do for the government to step in and say that you're not going to get kicked out of your home, you're not going to owe thousands and thousands of dollars in back rent when this is all over, and that's what we're here to fight for, and I'm pledging to continue that fight, both in Washington and in Albany. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, so much for lending your support. Now we are going to see a few of the banner drops that are happening across the state today. So you can see on the screen, despite the snow, people in East Brooklyn, in Brownsville, in Rochester, in Elmhurst, Queens, in Washington Heights, in Buffalo, New York, and I think there's one in the Bronx too that's not quite there yet, but across the state, people are dropping banners that say tax the rich, house the poor, tax the rich, cancel rent, because after 11 months, we just don't have that kind of time anymore. We need to take action right now. So now I am going to pass it over to one of our newest assembly members and a housing champion, Assembly Member Matenas, to speak. Oh, Marcelo, you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're good to go.
Oh, now you're muted again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you. This is really, really important. It's important that we share the information, that folks know that there is relief out there, and we just need to make sure that all our elected officials are on the same page, supporting the cancellation of rent and the debt that's being accumulated. I'm hearing more and more how some landlords are just ignoring the state orders. They're telling tenants they don't care what the governor says. It's their property. They're trying to force evictions. They're telling people to use credit cards and other things. And so I know you guys are going through difficult times, but this is now where we have an opportunity to really, really force our issue forward, making sure that we're spreading the information, making sure people are plugged in. And I am so excited to be fighting with you, and this time in a different position, in a different place. Let's keep fighting.
Thank you so much, Marcella. Joining us is another amazing new Assembly member fighting for tenants across New York State, fighting for homeless New Yorkers. And she is here, I think. Farah Sufront Forest is here. Farah, are you ready? Are you good? Can't see you. Okay. So yeah, I will welcome up Assemblywoman Sufront Forest. And let me find you so I can spotlight your video, but I can't.
Or she can't speak.
Oh, I found you. 1 second.
That was the mission.
Okay, you're
Yay.
here. Go for it.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Assemblywoman Farah Sufront Forest, representing parts of Prospect Heights, Clinton Hill, Fort Greene Park, and Crown Heights. So I am super fired up to be here this morning in this blistery snow, because as we speak right now, I have tenants that are not only unable to pay the rent, but they are also facing harassment from their landlord in the form of not getting heat, the elevator's broke, but there's no hot water, and we know that these all are tactics is used to evict people. And this is why it's so important for us to not only stand strong in our as legislators, to stand strong to make sure we demand that our governor sees the plight of tenants and takes it seriously by canceling the rent today and forevermore, but also understanding that our tenants need to be protected against all forms of harassment. And so it's up to us to all stand together and make sure that we empower our tenants to keep the fight strong on the home front, but then for us to keep the fight strong in Albany. It's the first, the rent is due, but we not paying that shit. So I am so excited for you guys. Not excited for us, but excited for us because we are leading a revolution in New York State, and this will be televised. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Sufront Forest. And thank you to all of the legislators who are working so hard with us and really listening to what people on the ground are going through and supporting us that way. So now we're going to hear from folks who are experiencing the stuff on the ground. So first I want to welcome up Dawn Miller from New York Communities for Change. Dawn, are you ready? Great.
Yes, good morning. My name is Dawn, NYCC Brooklyn Flatbush chapter. Well, I am championing this cause because my landlord is a very disgusting and terrible landlord. I've been going through this situation before the pandemic. I fought with him for almost 2 years to get a lease. And as soon as the lease came through, with the help of NYCC, and the pandemic hit, and now I am owing rent. Today is 11 months. He has sent me two 14-day notices. He has been calling me call recently, like 2 weeks ago, to ask me what's going on. He was nice to offer me a lease, and I promised him that I was gonna come through with my rent and all of that. And he has his bills to pay. Why am I not paying my rent? And when do I decide to pay rent? So I told him in no uncertain terms, I said, well, first and foremost, you did not give me a lease just like that. You fought me tooth and nail. I had to fight. And I am not working. The moment I stop working, I call your office and I let them know that I'm not working. So I'm waiting on the government to see what can be done. Oh, why don't you you don't have credit card? What happened to the unemployment that you're getting? Stuff like that. So he and I have been back and forth until I told him last week, I told him, I said, do not call my phone back. I said, call Governor Cuomo, don't call me back. I'm tired of you. And I said to him, I said, yes, I call the super because I need my sink to be plunged. And the super told me whatever I need to be done in my apartment, I have to call the office. So I said, this is retaliation. So this is what I am going to do. I'm going to call 311 and I'm going to call Governor Cuomo to let him talk to you about it because I'm not working. I didn't bring the pandemic, and before the pandemic, this is how you are. And I have more, there's more tenants in the building that you are harassing, which you're not supposed to. So do not call my phone back. So since last week, I haven't heard back from him. So I'm fighting. I'm not giving up because I had applied for help from the government, and upwards to now nothing. Denied me. And I've tried with Canva and all other avenues that I know, and nothing has been forthcoming. So I'm still waiting, and I am calling on the governor to come through for us at this moment.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, John.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Yes. Um, so next, we're going to hear from Saleha Sattar, who's going to be speaking her statement in Bangla, and Rima Begum will be reading it in English afterwards. So Saleha, are you ready?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আমার নাম সালেহা সত্তার। আমি বাংলাদেশ টেনেন্ট ইউনিয়ন লিডার। আমি একজন রেন্ট স্টাবিলাইজ টেনেন্ট এবং আমি জ্যামাইকা কুইন্সে থাকি। আমি আমার স্টোরি একজন টেনেন্ট হিসেবে শেয়ার করতে চাচ্ছি এবং একটি কমিউনিটির সদস্য হিসাবে আমার সমস্যাগুলো কিভাবে সমাধান করা উচিত তা নিয়ে আমি কথা বলতে এখানে এসেছি। আমি আপনাদেরকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি, আপনারা আমাকে এখানে কথা বলার সুযোগ করে দিয়েছেন। আমি প্রায় 4 বছর আগে যারার অ্যাপার্টমেন্টে এসেছি, তাদের বিরুদ্ধে বর্তমানে হয়রানি, চাবির জন্য $250 এবং আরো অনেক বেশি চার্জ এবং অন্যান্য বেশ কয়েকটি সমস্যার জন্য অ্যাটর্নি জেনারেল দ্বারা মামলা হচ্ছে। যারা ভবনে হাজার হাজার ভাড়াটে আছে, যারা প্রতিদিন তাদেরকে দিয়ে সমস্যার মুখোমুখি হচ্ছে, নিগৃহীত হচ্ছে। আমি শুধু আমার সমস্যাগুলো আপনাদের সামনে তুলে ধরতে এসেছি। আমার আমি যখন অ্যাপার্টমেন্টে যাওয়ার জন্য এপ্লাই করেছি অ্যাপার্টমেন্টের জন্য, তখন তারা আমাকে বলেছে যে আমাকে তাদেরকে ডিপোজিট $13,000 পে করতে হবে। একটা কজ যে আমি নরমাল ওয়ার্কিং পিপল, আমি আমার এনাফ মানি নেই এবং পাশাপাশি যেটা হচ্ছে যে আমার ক্রেডিট স্কোর নেই। বাট যেহেতু আমি কখনো ক্রেডিট কার্ড ইউজ করিনি, তারা আমার ক্রেডিট স্কোর না পাওয়াতে তারা আমার কাছ থেকে $13,000 তারা চার্জ করেছে। সেই মুহূর্তে আমার সামনে আসলে কোনো রাস্তা খোলা ছিল না। হয় তাদেরকে আমাকে টাকাটা দিতে হবে, আর নইলে আমাকে খোলা আকাশের নিচে থাকতে হবে। যদি আপনি বা আমরা যারা ভাড়া থাকি তাদের কাছে পর্যাপ্ত টাকা না থাকে, তাহলে কি হয়? আমরা হতাশাগ্রস্ত হয়ে পড়ি। তখন আমরা কি করব? তখন আপনি কি করবেন? হয় কোনো আশ্রয় কেন্দ্রে চলে যাবেন অথবা রাস্তায় থাকবেন। আমার কাছে কোনো রাস্তা খোলা ছিল না। তাই আমি তাদেরকে ওই টাকাটা দিতে বাধ্য হয়েছিলাম। আমার বাড়িওয়ালা বর্তমানে হাউজিং কোর্টে আমার বিরুদ্ধে মামলা করেছে। কারণ তারা আমার লিজ রিনিউ করতে অস্বীকার করছে। আমি আমার লিজ রিনিউ এর জন্য একাধিকবার চেষ্টা করেছি। আমার লিজ রিনিউ না করায় ল্যান্ডলর্ডের বিরুদ্ধে ডিএসসিআর এ কমপ্লেইনও ফাইল করেছি আমি। ভাড়াটেদের হয়রানি করার জন্য হাউজিং কোর্টে সবসময় তারা হাতিয়ার হিসাবে ব্যবহার করে আসছে। তারা বিভিন্নভাবে বিভিন্ন ভাড়াটেকে হাউজিং কোর্টে নিয়ে হাজির করছে। যেহেতু এখন ইভিকশন মরাটোরিয়াম আ টেনেন্টদেরকে প্রোটেকশন দিচ্ছে, তাই তারা যারা এখন ভাড়াটেদেরকে হয়রানি করার জন্য ভিন্ন রাস্তা তারা ব্যবহার করছে। তারা প্রতিদিন ভাড়াটেদেরকে উইথ মি ১০ থেকে ১৫ বার করে তারা ফোন করছে। তারা ইমেইল করছে এবং প্রতিনিয়ত তারা বিভিন্নভাবে আমাদের কোনো প্রয়োজন, কোনো প্রবলেম হলে আমরা তাদেরকে ডাকলে, সুপারকে ডাকলে, যেমন হিটের সমস্যা আছে, গরম পানির সমস্যা আছে, এলিভেটরের সমস্যা আছে, তারা কিন্তু এতে কোনো সাড়া দিচ্ছে না। সুপার কোনো রেসপন্স করছে না। এছাড়া যেমন কোভিড-19 আমাদের পুরা পরিবেশের উপর যে প্রভাব ফেলেছে, এতে টেনেন্টরা এর মোকাবিলা করছে। যারা আম ছোট বিজনেসম্যান যারা, ব্যবসায়ী যারা, তারাও স্ট্রাগল এর মুখামুখি হয়েছে। তারাও স্ট্রাগল করছে ব্যবসা নিয়ে। এখন এই ক্ষেত্রে যে আমাদের যা করা উচিত, আমার যেটা মনে হয়েছে যে আমরা যারা আমাদের ওয়ার্কিং ক্লাস পিপলদের সহায়তা করা প্রয়োজন। আমাদের সবকিছুর বিরুদ্ধে এইসব মানে প্রতিকূল অবস্থা তৈরি করার জন্য প্রতিকূল অবস্থা থেকে বেঁচে থাকার জন্য আমাদেরকে we need to take action. আমাদের রেন্ট ক্যানসেল করা প্রয়োজন and provide mortgage relief to small homeowners. And we need to pass good cause eviction. We need to eliminate major capital improvements. এছাড়াও সবচেয়ে বড় যে ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে ট্যাক্সের সমস্যা। যে আমরা গরিবরা, আমরা যারা খেটে খাওয়া মানুষ, ওয়ার্কিং ক্লাস পিপল, আমরা সীমার বাহিরে আমরা কিন্তু ট্যাক্স পে করছি। কিন্তু ধনী শ্রেণী তারা ট্যাক্স যথাযথ পে করছে না। এখন আমার যেটা চাওয়া যে ধনীদের উপরে, রোজগারের উপরে সঠিক ট্যাক্স দিতে হবে তাদেরকে, এবং আমরা যারা ওয়ার্কিং ক্লাস পিপল, আমি এক্ষেত্রে একটু না বললে হবে না যে আমার নিজেকে দিয়ে আমি যেটা বলছি যে আমি ১ বছরে যদি আমি $70,000 আমি আর্ন করছি, এর মধ্যে অফিস আমার কাছ থেকে কেটে নিচ্ছে $13,000 এবং আমি যখন ট্যাক্স ফাইল করছি, ট্যাক্স রিটার্নে আমাকে পে করতে হয়েছে আরো $6,000। তাহলে আমার যদি $70,000 থেকে $20,000 অলমোস্ট চলে যায় ট্যাক্সের খাতে, তাহলে আমি কি খাবো? আমার ফ্যামিলিকে আমি কি দিব? তো এই সমস্যাগুলির সমাধান যাতে সুষ্ঠুভাবে হয়, আজকে আমি শুধু আমার গল্পটা আমি এখানে শেয়ার করলাম। আপনাদেরকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। আপনারা আমাকে শেয়ার করতে সুযোগ দিচ্ছেন। Thank you so much for everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Saleha. Hi, everyone. My name is Rima Begum. I'm the founder of the Bangladeshi Tenant Union and a tenant organizer with Chaya CDC. So I'm going to read Saleha's statement in English. So, hi, my name is Saleha Sattar. I'm a Bangladeshi Tenant Union leader. I'm a rent-stabilized tenant, and I live in Jamaica, Queens. I want to first share my story as a renter and also talk about the solutions we need to take together as a community. I moved into my Jamaica apartment about 4 years ago. My landlord is Zara Realty. They are currently being sued by the Attorney General for harassment, charging $250 or more for keys, and a number of other issues. My story is just one among the thousands of tenants living in Zara buildings. Zara charged me $13,000 to move into my apartment. I am a home health aide worker, working class person. They told me that I didn't have good credit, I didn't earn enough money, so I had to pay this amount. Like most tenants, out of desperation, you pay this because what's the alternative to not paying? Going to the shelter? Living on the street? My landlord is currently suing me in housing court because they refused to renew my lease. I've made multiple attempts to renew my lease and even filed a DHCR complaint against my landlord's failure to renew my lease. They use housing court as a tool to harass tenants. And now that the eviction moratorium helps to protect tenants, they have come up with new ways to harass tenants. Zara, on average, calls tenants about 10 to 15 times a day, continuously emailing us even after we have expressed our financial hardship. Is that not harassment? Tenants owe millions, if not billions of dollars in rent because of the financial hardship COVID-19 has created. Our small businesses are struggling. We need to help working class people. We need to take action. We need to cancel the rent and provide mortgage relief to small homeowners. We need to pass good cause eviction. We need to eliminate major capital improvements. And most importantly, we need to tax the rich. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Saleha, and thank you, Rima, for reading out her statement in English. Next, we are going to hear from someone who has been supporting the tenant movement for many, many years before it was popular. But she was there in Albany fighting for us. I'm going to go to Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal.
Thank you, Samathi. I'm Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal. I represent the Upper West Side and Hell's Kitchen, but really I'm here for the tenants. That story we just heard is horrifying. At a time when people are suffering and dying, especially people of color who are disproportionately affected by this pandemic. The fact that a landlord is calling you 10 times a day and emailing you and taking you to court is exactly what we think about landlords. They're all not like that, but so many are like that, and it's irresponsible and it is not acceptable. This is a tenant town, and we're just gathering power. I see all the people on, the activists who've been around to fight every year in Albany. It's just wonderful. So yes, tenants owe a lot of money. Tenants became unemployed. The head of the household, who was the breadwinner, died. You can't pay utilities. But that's why we have a federal government which has given us 1.3 billion to divide up in our first installment. And then we expect more. But the state is also capable of raising funds. And what we've been saying for a while is simple, 3 words: tax the rich. They have money, they have 10 homes. So if we take a little more money out of their pockets to pay for people to stay in their one home, I think they will not suffer. And when we do give out this money, we have to make sure that it's given out equitably. Landlords who harass, maybe they should have consequences before they get the back rent paid. But we have to clear up the back rent. We have to make sure tenants stay in their apartments. Think of the people who are homeless now and stuck outside in the snow. It's just horrific, but we're going to fight hard for the money. We want to make sure the tenants are covered, and we want to make sure that there's a fund in the future for small landlords, not, the ones who actually need the money. The big corporations, they've succeeded for years and years and years without any help, because they get 421A tax breaks. They're fine. It's the small landlords who need the money as well. So I'm here for the fight, and I appreciate everyone's efforts, because we can only do this together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Rosenthal. Thank you for joining us today. Next, we're going to hear from James Hill, a vocal New York member from Rochester, New York. James, are you ready?
Buffalo, New York.
Oh, sorry, Buffalo. Sorry.
Okay. Hi, my name is James Hill, and I'm a vocal leader in Buffalo, New York. When I was homeless, I spent nights in the shelter. but most nights on the street because there aren't enough beds in the shelter. I was cold and on the streets. I wanted stable housing, but it took me years to get it because there aren't subsidized housing units or programs designed for people living homeless. Many of us lived on the street not because we wanted to, but because we had no choice. The Housing Access Voucher Program will make us a priority. Once I had stable housing, I could get stable on meds and find stable work. Housing is a human right. We deserve House Access Voucher Program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. In Housing Justice for All, we're fighting both for tenants and for homeless New Yorkers because we need relief for both, for everybody during this pandemic. So we're fighting to cancel rent and to pass the Housing Access Voucher Program so that we can get people off the streets and into stable and permanent homes for all. So thank you, James, for sharing your story. Next, we're going to hear from another Buffalo resident, Sherelle Sanders from Push Buffalo. So I will pass it over to you, Sherelle, if you are here.
Hello, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to say that I did not know that everyone was thinking the same thing as me. I can kind of relate to, I forgot her name, but as far as having problems with landlords prior to the pandemic, like they are really trying to take advantage of us. So as far as rent relief and mortgage relief, I really think it's a good idea and it will really help us and get people back on track financially, mentally, and physically, all aspects of life. And it gives tenants a chance to be great in life because the homeless rate is at an all-time high and it's at an all-time high for no reason. So I'm just very happy that we all can come together and just put our minds together, our ideas together, and solutions together to help landlords and both tenants at such a trying time. So I'll give everyone else time. I don't want to elaborate too much.
Thank you, Sherelle. We appreciate you. And it is always good to hear that there are people across the state that agree with us, that want the same things that we need.
I thought I was so alone.
Yeah, that's what people want us to think, that we're alone and that we're the only people that can't pay rent. But actually, there's millions of people who are going through the same thing, and there are more of us. And we're gonna win with the people.
I'm really hoping that we could be that voice for people who are scared to speak up, because there are tenants that are very like intimidated by their landlords because they think that they have the upper hand, but we have rights and we don't really know about them because landlords don't let us know. And I feel like we should come together with ideas as far as that too, as far as landlords helping their tenants with their rights, because they don't tell us that we have any rights at all. We just don't know about it, So
exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. So our next speaker is Karen Braga from the West Side Neighborhood Alliance. So I will pass it over to her and we will continue.
Hi, I'm Karen and I'm with West Side Neighborhood Alliance as a tenant advocate. And I'm involved because I believe housing is a human right and this is a moral issue for the richest union in the world and one of the richest states in our country. Housing Justice for All is a coalition of 70 different tenant organizations throughout New York State. And we are asking the legislature to pass 3 bills: cancel rent, a housing access voucher program to house the homeless, and good cause eviction. As tenant organizations throughout the state, we're on the ground, and we believe these bills will address healthcare issues and housing issues far better than the governor's rent relief package. If you have questions about how to fund our 3 bills, we are supporting the 6-bill package of tax reform, which is called Invest in Our New York, which would bring us $50 to $75 billion annually. The no-brainer one to pass is to revoke Trump's tax cuts. So thank you for listening, and I hope that the legislature sees things our way from people who are working on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Our last speaker today is Edilsa Fernandez from Met Council on Housing, speaking from Queens, New York, and then we'll take some time for questions. Edilsa, are you ready?
Yes. So over 50,000 people in New York City alone are facing evictions, myself included. I lost a job at the beginning of the pandemic, and my part-time job was not enough to cover the costs. My roommate had lost her job entirely. The rent relief program, which my roommate was approved for, only covered people until August. So just a few months into the pandemic. Since then, the pandemic has continued, but no additional relief has been seen. The program was hard to obtain relief because they require so much documentation that was very hard to obtain during the pandemic. They have now reopened that same program, but there's still a lot of issues with it. For example, undocumented folks, roommates who don't have a direct lease, and people who have lost a second job are some people who may not qualify for this program. And in addition, this program still has barriers where you need to submit certain documentations. I have never in my entire life had rent issues. I have never prior faced eviction. I have not only had to deal with the pandemic stress, but also with the issue of eviction. I have gone to sleep hungry because food prices have went up and I just didn't have enough money. Every single month, there are changes to these laws, and I never know when I'm going to be kicked out in the middle of a deadly virus. This experience alone is traumatic. This back and forth of whether we will be safe at home or out in the streets every single month. I was barely making it with a job, living paycheck to paycheck. And now the government wants me to pay the rent I owed during the pandemic, where there was countless of lost jobs, hard to obtain jobs, and landlords like mine have tried to raise the rent suddenly without any notification. I ask, how can we pay rent when we live paycheck to paycheck and an additional $16,000 or $20,000 in back rent? We didn't cause this problem. The pandemic caused this problem. As Senator Michael Gianaris said, we are just delaying the problem. We need a permanent solution to this issue. Poor people cannot afford to pay their rent moving forward and $20,000 to $30,000 or even $40,000 in back rent. That is furthering the poverty crisis. Please cancel rent and provide a long-term solution to this matter.
Thank you so much, Edilsa, for those moving words. And thank you to all of our speakers for sharing your stories, for sharing your support for this movement. Before we go to questions, I want to briefly show the rest of the banner drops that happened across the state this morning in the snow. So we will share them now, and then we'll go to questions. Folks who are on the line, who are reporters, can use the question and answer the Q&A box at the bottom to put your questions in so we can answer them. This is a video from the Bronx, up in the middle of the snowstorm. They're going to hang their banner as soon as the wind dies down. But they still went out today and did a banner drop. And then, yeah, great. So that is one of 12 locations that dropped banners across the state today. And there will be more throughout the week.